A student from the Managing Risk for Development course launched by the World Bank has done her project about floods in Lebanon. Lebanon has a moderate Mediterranean climate. In coastal areas, winters are generally cool and rainy while summers are hot and humid. In more elevated areas, temperatures usually drop below freezing during the winter with heavy snow. Although most of Lebanon receives a relatively large amount of rainfall. In 2012, heavy rain flooded the streets of Lebanon. An article from the Daily Star says that there was some respite Friday, but that ended when torrential downpours September parts of the country again. The flood has caused only economic and material losses. The most catastrophic flood happened last year in 2013. The media was very busy for a week to show the disaster caused by the flood. Thousands of motorists were stuck in their cars as the heavy downpour pummeled the airport road leading to the Lebanese capital from the southern outskirts of the city, LBC television reported. Civil defense workers struggled all night to pull cars and passenger vans out the flooded tunnel. The most dramatic part in this year's flood is the human loss. As mentioned in an article, a baby was swept away in Lebanon on Monday as stormy weather sparked widespread flooding. Moreover, many schools in different areas have closed for several days. The main problem was never about the flooding but about the reaction to this risk. No one is taking the responsibility to act in order to reduce the losses. It has been revealed in an article that local media blamed Lebanese officials, particularly the Public Works Ministry, for the current flooding. In addition, the head of the Public Works Parliamentary Committee has criticized the situation by saying that the Public Works Ministry spent so much money on non-urgent matters such as paving the streets in several areas and neglected needed maintenance work that should have been the priority. If there is no way to stop the flood from hitting, how can we prepare for natural disasters? What should we do to limit material and human losses? How can we take control of the situation? In other words, how can we manage risk? But what is risk management? It is a process of confronting risk, preparing for them, and coping with their effects. Effective and responsible risk management can save lives. In order to achieve an effective risk management, we should consider 4 tools: knowledge, protection, insurance, coping. Knowledge is getting information about the risk and then using that information to make judgments. In 2010, Beirut allocated a budget to develop a risk database to have a more precise knowledge about flooding risk. Protection is any action that can lower the probability and size of a negative outcome by increasing the probability of a positive outcome. In the case of Lebanon, Nadim Farajallah, the Associate Professor of Hydrology and Water Resources at the American University of Beirut, identifies 2 major protection ideas. The first one is relocating people to higher ground, because some people are living in low-lying areas and have constructed homes on river banks, limiting the space for water to flow, which raise water levels further upstream. Furthermore, once the water passes through the construction, it flows more rapidly and destructively towards those downstream. The second one is building expensive drainage system. Some bridges aren't capable of handling such runoff and high water. In poorer areas where government services are lacking, these bridges can be small and makeshift, built without review from officials or engineers, and lacking height to accommodate floodwaters. Insurance. It's an instrument that transfers resources across people or over time from good to bad state of nature. Is there an insurance against flood in Lebanon? The answer is no. Coping. The World Development Report 2014 argues that people can overcome the risks they face by sharing their risks and risk management with others. Trying to mitigate the flood's losses is everyone's responsibility. Every citizen should take the responsibility to cope with others. Our biggest mistake is not doing anything but complaining and blaming others if they fail to manage the risk. Now that everyone is conscious of the flood consequence, citizens should be more proactive and work together. Speaking about road drainage, there should be a ministerial team assigned to each municipality or grouping of municipalities along a highway to ensure that local roads do not generate runoff onto the highway, and then that the highway is well maintained. Moreover, the government and waste collectors cannot shoulder all of the responsibility for keeping sewerage lines clean, as it takes one plastic bag to block a drainage gate. People have a responsibility not to throw things into the drainage network. And keep in mind that a sustainable world means working together to create prosperity for all.